and welcome back to the Advancing Healthcare Innovation Show. I am your host, Michael Stamatinos. And if you're new to us, welcome. It's great to have you here. Great to join you. And we're really excited about a couple different things here. We're having some really interesting conversations with real leaders that are painstakingly reshaping the future of healthcare. We're passionate about a few different areas. We're passionate about access. We're passionate about innovation and leadership and innovation adoption. And if it's your first time tuning in, I just want to kind of just take a really quick step back and give you a little bit more about what we're really trying to get done here. So our focus is on bringing real stories of innovation to life, not just the stuff that you read about in articles, but like real people that are really truly innovating and that are on the cusp of something amazing. And not just sharing all the little wins that they have, which are important, but also some of the learnings. Because when you're innovating, you're not always winning all the time. So we want to share some of those learnings, and we want to help our community and ultimately the world to be able to advance innovation much better, faster, more efficiently. Wherever you are now, however you're ingesting this, whether you're watching it, whether you're listening to it, please hit the subscribe button now so any new interviews come directly to you. So you know what I love about this next guest is actually he did not set out to disrupt an industry. He actually just refused to accept a broken process. He looked at urology procedures that have been done the same way for decades, equipment that's cobbled together from different companies, metal devices that are sterilized and reused over and over and over again, and setup times that actually eat into everyone's day. And then he said, you know what? There's got to be a better way to do this. This kind of thing and this approach is actually what changes healthcare. George Hsu is the founder and CEO of Aulea Medical. Before he started Aulea, he spent, I think it was just north of 15 years deep in the R&D trenches at some of the most respected early stage medtech companies in the business, including Thoratec, which was acquired by Abbott, and Outset Medical, which went public. So he's not the kind of guy that talks about building things. He actually builds them. So what he built at Olea is something called Valoxion. We'll talk about it a little bit more today. The first and only all-in-one system for urological procedures. One device, no assembly, no sterilization between patients, same-day procedures, less infection risk, better outcomes, and urologists who say, look, when I use Valoxion, like I just know it's going to be fast. That quote tells you everything. So the condition that they're going after, BPH, affects half of all men in their 50s and up to 70% of men in their 60s. So we're not talking about a small niche here. We're talking about millions of people whose quality of life depends on whether the healthcare system can deliver a better answer. And remarkably, George is building that answer, one physician relationship at a time. So I'm fired up to have him on the show. George, great to see you. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, Michael, thank you for the introduction. That is one of the best introductions I've ever heard. I don't think I do anything better than that.
Well, we strive to go high, make people feel really good.
Mhm.
Before we get into Olea and all of it, I want to
Yeah,
kind of go back because
yeah,
you spent 15 years as like an R&D guy.
yep.
And I guess some could say that, hey, that's like not necessarily the founder type on paper.
Mhm.
Seems like you were the person who made the technology work. So, like, what happened? What was the moment
Right,
where you looked at like what you had to build for other people and said, you know what,
right.
screw it. Like, I need to kind of go and do this for myself.
Yeah. So yes, I think ever since 2007, I've been in R&D field. Exactly that Thoratec was one of the company I was at. Outside Medical CI1. Before that was a little X-ray company called Xtradia was acquired by Carl Zeiss. So I always drawn to the product, what's complex, what's complicated. When people say it cannot be done, I have just a feeling that I want to prove you wrong, just because you say so. I'll make it work. A little bit like a FU kind of personality right there. I enjoy the engineering part. One thing I know for sure is engineering product development is not one man show. It requires a team. As much as I want to claim that I invented everything that I touched, no, it's not. It's always a team effort. As I went through my career, two events sort of shaped it. The first one is I
Mm.
graduated in 2007, and there was an immediate 2008, there's a crash, right, the Great Recession, where the
Yeah.
subprime market happened. And
Yeah.
I watched how the company react to the employees. When things happen, I felt at the time the people who did not make the mistake, the wrong decision is the one who got canned. And that feeling stayed with me. And that basically tells me that I want to be the one who can protect them. Say they did their job well, and then they follow exactly what the decision made. But at the end of the day, they are the one who took the hit. So that at that point, I realized that I want to be a leadership role, not because the power, the money, everything kind of along with it, because I don't want to feel that way again, where the morale of the team took a
Mm.
hit. So that's one event. The second event was in the larger organization where I started realizing there are too many red tape and politics. I was like, and I realized it's about people protecting their own interests, not the company interest, not the community interest, definitely not the interest of the healthcare. So that sort of I struggle with that feeling. And the thing is I got really angry. My girlfriend at the time, now wife, she saw it and she's like, "You need to do something different." And those
Mm.
two events were shaped by saying, "Okay, not just a product development. I want to build a community. I want to build a company. I want to build a team that can change how things are done."
How much of the fact that you're in the Bay Area and you're in sort of, I'll call like the epicenter,
Mhm.
the just the where things ultimately were birthed from
Uh,
that changed the world. Is there like an aura around that that also kind of helps you kind of move towards product to, all right, I can now found my own company. Like, tell me about that because it just seems very, very interesting in terms of proximity.
Yes, I think proximity helps. I mean, there's that quote, I forgot who it is, a man wiser than me said, like, you're the average of the five people around you. And it is like the Bay Area, there are, people are thinking about what can we do better? Everyone's thinking of what can we do better? The whole entrepreneur environment is there. Everyone trying to find the next big thing. But what I realize is there are two groups of people. There are people who want to break the rules, and there are people who follow rules. And one
Mm.
thing I noticed, at least for me, part of it's an Asian culture, right? It's about conformity, the harmony of the community, right?
Right.
So as that, we sort of got pushed into say, let's follow rules, let's figure out what things are done, and then we don't break out of that. The other part is a lot of, and this is come from academic careers, all that is if you're doing well in school, you're trained to follow the rules because
Right.
you figure out what the best answer the proctor want to say, the test wants to give, you give those. You never think about maybe I could do something different. So because of those two, I sort of fell into that, but there was always this inner conflict. I say, I feel comfortable follow the rule, but everyone is doing something else, and that
Right.
looks very exciting. And so slowly, that sort of like a rubber band getting stretched, the 2 points getting stretched more and more, and ultimately, I guess Silicon Valley won. Basically, I got pulled into that realm rather than staying where I felt comfortable.
Is it also an aspect of, sort of fear of missing out? You're like, hey, look at all these shots people are taking, they're winning, and I'm not. Is there an aspect of just fear of not doing something and just saying, F it, I'm gonna go for it just because if I don't, I'm probably gonna regret it for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I yes, that definitely is there. You just look at what people can do. You look at, when I was at tail end of my career at Thor Tech, I was looking around, just say there are people younger than me. They are doing a lot more than I'm doing. Money power is one thing, but just be able to really put their fingerprints on products, really, really affect how things are done. And that's where the inner struggle and the anger comes from. So why am I not there? Am I not good enough? And I think that it's nothing like a real trauma, but psychologically speaking, it sort of messes with my own self-identity. I'm sort of, me being, a little bit have a little bit ego about myself is about I'm supposed to be the best, right? But I'm not. What's wrong?
Mm.
And that struggle basically, led me to realize this. there's so much more I can do, and there's so much things in life. There's things we can do differently to get to the same goal.
Right.
And sometimes it's like the path that was laid out, whether the good path is, may not be the path I want to take. And then you start taking that risk, you start stepping away from it.
Mm. And you started to kind of consider moving out of the R&D role, and you started investigating. How did you land on urology? Was this something that was already previously on your radar? Did it take you some time to kind of really stumble on it?
I joke around. So I start from X-ray, which is you look at all the bones, then you look at the heart with thoracic, you go to the kidney with dialysis. I just moving down. My next part, I try to look at your foot, right? Just keep on going down the
Yeah.
human body. I think it's by chance, serendipity. I guess I was looking around what next to look at, and then a recruiter contacted me about an interesting product that is not quite there yet, not quite ready for market, and they are in need for product development from both the technical side and also building their team. And I just took a chance. And at the time was again struggling with my own identity and finally realized I want to do more. And then also realizing all the preconceived notion about work-life balance, about paying your
And there's no
due.
such thing. There's no such thing
Right.
as work-life
It's
balance.
all
It's
myths,
work-life
right?
harmony. It's a total myth.
Right. It has to be real sickle to do this. You just have to understand what the trade-off is. So, and it just happens, right? Then that's why you then on urology. And once again to urology, I realized, shit, this is something I'll use one day, so might as well make the best there is.
Hmm. So let's switch gears for a minute. Walk me into an OR. Don't give
Hmm.
me the polished version. Give me the real version.
Sure.
What does the urology procedure look like right now before, you know, Valoxion is in the room?
Right.
Like, what is the circulating nurse doing? What's
Right.
the setup like? What's the urologist dealing with before they even start? Like, walk me through
Right.
existing state.
Okay, so the the day actually starts for the OR. It just starts much earlier than everyone thinks, right?
Hmm.
First thing they do is at the beginning of the week, they look at how many patients they have and how many equipments they have, sets of equipment they have. Then they can start putting on the day. So maybe like 4 days before that surgery, everything is being planned out. And the central sterols or whoever's control the equipment, the circulators are going to be scrambling inside what's broken, what's being cleaned, and what's coming back and they plan
Hmm.
all of that out. So think about half a week before that ever happens. All those work goes in and the stress levels are building. And right before the procedure, the circulator comes in. They say, okay, the room is clean. The previous patients are out. We clean everything. Now let's go fetch equipment. They'll bring trays. They're moving towers of equipment into the room. You start crowding everything around. They start opening up and they check, make sure everything is cleaned correctly. They take this little film, like a flimsy paper, they look through it and see if there's any hole to know that if a sterilization was run correctly and there's no drop of water, because if there is, then it's not sterile. And all that happens before the patient even say, yes, we need to move the patient in. And when the patient got moved in, of course, anesthesia, sanitizing the areas, and then start putting the equipment together. And during all that time, understand in US, every minute in that OR costs you 36.5 minutes, national average. In New York, it's 100, $120 per minute. So all those work just
$120 per minute
per
is what it
minute.
costs you.
Yes, in the OR. I think that's the major hospital in.
So the clock is ticking. You're going in
That's
there
right.
and you're the more inefficient you are, what you're saying is that like it's
Right.
the bill
So
just continues to
that,
stack.
that's right. So the act of putting valve together, connecting the tubes, all those actions, there's a dollar amount. And that's why all the hospital bills are so expensive. It's like every minute that happens in there, they have well-trained professionals in there. The lights, the air, everything that's supplying it, all of those cost money. All right. So I remember there's one case when we were early on, we're watching when the case was done. Uh, this was after COVID, and then there's high turnover. All the hospital staff are stressed. A lot of early retirement during COVID. So now you're really strapped for the human elements of it, the people who actually do the job. The person taking care of the sterilization, he or she was new. So the first tray comes in, the physician ready, the patient was under ready. So under anesthesia, they're ready to go. They open a tray, the doctor look at it and say, you didn't take the inner sheet and outer sheet apart. That means there's a
Mm.
crust in between and that's dirty. All right, bring me the second tray. They pack it up, it goes out. But it's as simple as saying, bring me a second tray. That means the person who's using the second tray now has a weight, right? So that's the next person's problem. So
Yeah,
the
it's
second,
basically compounding.
that's right. The second tray comes out. Here's the problem. It's still cleaned by the same person. Same issue is still there. Open it up. This is exactly the same thing. Give me the third tray. That goes away. The third tray comes in. At that point, everyone in that room is stressed, and the physician was not happy. Right. Okay, this doesn't work. Now take this, go clean it, and do a flash cleaning. That's a 45 minutes process. So think about it. 40 minutes, that means the patient is under for 45 additional minutes. Second part is, remember I say that's $100 a minute? That's
Yeah, it's pretty.
$4,000 out the door. And we're just in
Yeah.
there, all right, this is the issue. You know, and that happens everywhere. You talk to every hospital staff. This happens all the time. It's not a one-off thing. This hospital I was at was well funded, very well run, has lots of history. You know, it's not unique. And that's when we saw it, it's like, yeah, it's not great for the people working there. It's not great for the patients. And that's why we come up with this disposable device. Every time you open up, it's brand new, it's clean, it's ready to go. You know, just save all those little minutes. So at the end of the day, the physician are not stressed, the staff are not overworked. That means way better result for the patient.
Look, been in medtech for a bit, right? Does everyone usually say that their product is simpler and safer?
Everyone says that, yes. No, no, no. I think intuitive people don't say that, but then they charge you $2 million for that robot.
So what makes you so confident that you've solved it to be able to say it with
I
such conviction?
So I would say I solve it because we work with a physician to understand all the workflow. You said we look at all the pain points,
Yeah.
putting together everything. So when we start designing it, is we design with the physician how they use it in mind. So we simplify. The idea is simplify. How do we simplify it? You know, having 10 connectors. If you need 10 connectors, what do we do? We do two. Uh, and why do we make it all, square shape and round shape so there's no way you can make it round? How do we say, all right, instead of using valves and the height of the setting back, why do we give you pressure sensors and CPU? Now all of that is now working in the background. So it just feels like it's natural progression, right? It's
Mm.
talking about driving a Model T back in the day versus driving a Ferrari. Just imagine how much electronic now can pack in, and then now it's doing everything. So what the physician is like a driver is they focus on the road, focus on the patient, and not to worry about it. So we're not making something that is, like a rocket ship that can fly to the moon, but we just simplify everything so you focus on what's important, which is the patient.
Yeah. You mentioned physicians and listen, you've trained physicians on this and you've been in the room when the surgeon is using your device for the first time. Like, just tell me about those moments. Like,
Hmm.
what does that actually feel like?
It's, I think no matter how many times I've done it, it's always nerve-wracking. It's like about to give a big speech because at the end of the day, there's a patient on the table who is about to really receive this, and there's this really seasoned, well-trained physicians. So that first is always like a first bite, the first vocal, first everything, first step is always nerve-wracking. But
Mm,
then it goes away really quickly because it's intuitive. The device is intuitive.
mm,
We designed the device such a way that we take advantage of what they're used to, which is a TERP, which has a very specific hand motion. You go back and forth. We added the second most common equipment they use, which is laser, which is left and right. So our device
mm,
both motions in there. So no matter if you're a TERP user, which account for about 60% of the physician out there, or a laser user, which about 30% of physicians out there is an element of this control that you're used to. then we built on top of that. Then they were realizing that all the little things that they struggle with, they thought this is natural, it's always going to be there, we automated for them. So something as simple as setting the right pressure so you don't overfill the bladder, making sure the fluid flow is coming out all the time when you need it. Something about simple notification when something happens and what the
Yeah.
next step is. So that's the things that we take care of for them. But the first cut that was made is nerve-wracking. Then everything just settles down. It's like, oh, okay, now this is the way we can do it.
Yeah. It's like, all right, it is working the way that we designed for it to
That's
work. A little bit of an exhale.
It is. And like I said, no matter how many times I've done it, the first cut is always like you hold your breath and then do it and then get it. It's like, yep, that's exactly what we planned. But like I said, it's at the end of the day, there's always a patient, there's a someone human on that table. So that pressure is always there. And I think that's a good thing. We respect
Yeah.
the work they do and respect the patient we're trying to help.
I want to talk about pressure for a little bit because there's different types of pressure
Mhm,
when you raise money,
mhm,
when you are running a company, you've got a lean team.
mhm,
And I think you'd written something somewhere about, I think it was about, what is it? What's it like to run a company?
mhm,
And what is like a part of building Alea
mhm.
that you could not have prepared for? Like you obviously been a lot of in front
Right,
and around a lot of entrepreneurs
right.
and they talk about it, but what's the part that you just weren't prepared for?
That is a good question. I think it is circle back to the whole pressure thing. I think when you're running a startup, there's no downtime, there's no off switch. Every single
Right.
aspect of the work, no matter what it is, from product development to sell to clinical training, regulatory filing, to fundraising. When you're running the company, especially for a small team, you are it. There's no offloading. Even if you do have team that support you, at the end of the day, you are still responsible for it. There's no passing the buck. The buck stop with you. It's always there. And the pressure, it just doesn't go away. It's a little bit like having a kid, right? Once you have a kid, there's no off switch. I have a 4-year-old. And I started my company around the time he was born. So it's a double whammy. I need to take care of my little guy. My wife is an angel, so of course she allows me to do the things I do. But every like middle of the night you wake up, you feed the kid. The same thing with me. Like the middle of the night I wake up and think about my next meeting is who do I need to talk to? Do I have enough money to pay everyone? Um, I have 3 sites that need to be going at the same time. Do I need to fly out to support it because my sales guy are flying to different locations? And all that, and then of course the human elements of it. How do I make sure the team gels well? I think what is hard for people to understand is how to deal with all of that pressure because very easily it can turn to stress, which is bad for your health.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, it's like
my,
you're applying this pressure in
right,
a constructive way. You're like,
yeah,
all right, I can sit here, I can let it eat away at my soul, which
right,
obviously isn't going to help anybody,
right,
or I can use it as fuel to kind of
right.
propel me and push me forward. That's kind of what it sounds like what you're really
Yeah,
getting at.
yeah, exactly. It's you just have to point in the right direction. Just hey, just make sure that it doesn't slow you down, but point in the right direction. Um, and like I said, there are so many things to worry about. My thought was like, there's no reason to sit there and worry. If there's, if something is getting me down, there's another thing I need to pick up and just start doing. So
Yeah.
distract myself. Like, okay, if this is stressing me out, turn into stress, just do something else. And that's something else just as important. This morning was, doing processing the sales order, then getting ready for AUA. looking at the logistic of shipping, right? Then that gets stressed out. It's like, okay, I need to put together brochures that I can start handing out and to schedule the trial that these go. All these are important. All of these are important. So whenever something is getting to too much, just shift over to the next thing and get that one out of the way.
I kind of think about what Olea is doing.
Mm,
It's like David versus Goliath.
mm, mm.
Precision in terms of what you're
Right.
doing. Because you're in the market with some pretty big players,
Yep.
Olympus, Boston Scientific, Stryker.
Mhm.
Does that, how does that sit with you? That you're kind of the underdog. How do you carry that?
Mm. I, it makes like I said, there's all a bit of a FU personality in me, right? But you have this billion-dollar company who cannot do what I do, and that feels really nice. But of course, you ever look back, it's like they fly private jet, and I'm trying to stuck myself in this economy seat in the back of plane because I want to save a few bucks. I think that feels nice to prove to people that you don't need to spend that much money to get the results you want.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and also, it's a lot of what we do is we want to make sure our product, and that's main focus is access to the care. And
Mm,
I sort of joke around, it's like we are not into putting out $2 million robots, and that is exactly what we don't want to do. We don't want our thing to be tied up into academic centers, well-funded hospitals, city center that they can actually afford it. We want everyone to be able to afford it. So a lot of our hospitals, we travel to surgery center, travel to our rural communities and it humbles you a little bit, right? It tells you these are the way people live, and we still want to deliver care we want. Um, we will not see a Olympus sales guy there. They say not worth it. They have local distributors, so sometimes they don't get the best pricing, they don't get the best support, and we hear about that. It's like, are you guys trying to replace XYZ company? We say yes. It's like, okay, please do because they're not getting the support they need. And think I believe there's value in everyone, like, no matter
mm,
what part of your population you are. There is value, talent everywhere, and healthcare is to make sure that everyone has ability to reach their full potential, and that's better
yeah.
for everyone involved.
You think about where your beachhead is, where
Mhm.
you're going after. I mean, BPH affects tens of millions of men.
Yep.
Most of them don't know they have options
Mhm.
beyond medication or major surgery. Is the problem, I'm just trying to put my finger on, like, is the problem the technology or is it the awareness? Like, where's the actual bottleneck right now?
I believe, depending on what part of the world you are in, I want to say take focus on BPH, the enlarged prostate, right? Uh, half of men will have it by the age of 50. No, that's a given fact. Uh, but it comes with the aging population. The older you get, the more likely you're gonna get it, and that's just because of
Yeah,
our genetics, our lifestyle, diet, all of that. So if you look at Asia, Asia is growing about 8 to 10% per year, about for
really.
BPH. Yeah, because they're that much older, right? Japan is
Got
much,
it.
much higher than
Right,
that
right,
because
right, right, right.
Asian population more advanced. But if you look at Asia, right, the issue for them is access to technology is cost. They just don't
Hmm,
have the, they have probably more population in the US, but they only account for 25% of the sales in the world. But the sales is not based on number of cases, it's based on the price point.
hmm,
So you can say they just don't have access to the technology because it's so expensive for them, right? So we want to reduce that, but make it
yeah,
economic sense. For US, I think it's about education awareness, and man, it's really bad. I mean, I understand why we refuse to go see a doctor. It's okay. I'll wait till later. It's not
yeah,
bleeding anymore. Why do I want to be able to see? So a
yeah,
lot of that, unfortunately, is by the time they see the patient, it's like, ooh, you should have come to see me about 5 years ago, right? Where your bladder is not stretched out so
yeah,
far,
right,
there's higher chance
right,
for recovery. But it comes down to education, right? How do we teach the community that preventive work, preventive care is
right,
good.
right.
increases your the likelihood of a good outcome and reduce the cost of your treatment. The other thing was like the rural community, most of the people, like a lot of people in US are still living like hour away from the medical centers.
Right.
So having to travel that far basically keep them from doing so frequently early enough. One of the hospital we opened up in Ohio, the physician who worked for us is the only urologist for male population in the town. There's a female counterpart. And before they start using our system, they need to bring the patient 40 minutes away from the town to do the surgery, to do the treatment, and was really inconvenient. So for a lot of people, they say, if I need to travel 40 minutes and I may have to stay overnight, that's a big
Right.
deal.
That's a big deal.
Uh, so if you can just do it at a surgery center locally within 5 to 10 minutes from your home, the usage rate goes up, the more patients get treated, and guess what? Outcome get improved, and everyone wins because ultimately the insurance company don't have to care to pay for additional care because they have good outcome. So I think at the end of the day, I think it's access. Is it because of education, patient education, distance of travel, or cost? All of them play
Hmm.
into.
Well, I want to touch on cost because you
Mhm.
mentioned a couple times. I mean, look, health systems, I mean, just providers in general, they're under incredible pressure right
Yep.
now on cost.
Yes.
And I just think sometimes I want to think through the logic on this, but like single-use devices,
Right.
at least oftentimes, have a reputation
Mhm.
for being more expensive up front.
Right.
How do you how do you have that conversation with like a CFO or a supply chain director
Sure.
who's like already stretched thin?
Right. It comes down to the total cost of care, right? We're not talking about uh, you're right. So for a single-use device versus spending $20,000 to buy this equipment, you can use it for like 1,000 times, right? A lot of those are built in to say who's controlling the budget and which budget is coming out of. So when we approach them, we say, let's look at your total cost of care. What does it look like? Sure, you have all the equipment in place already. What's your service contract? Usually about 10% of what the cost of that equipment is per year.
Hmm.
How many times do you send it out for repair? Uh, how much delay you have in your OR and all of our money? Who's cleaning it, right? What's that service like? All of them, you add up very quickly, it's going to start rivaling or even exceed the cost of just, hey, let's buy disposal. It's brand new every time. I don't have to worry about all this stuff. And guess what? Now you can pack your patients at the end of the day, beginning of the day, in the middle because you don't have to worry about access to the equipment. Now you
Hmm.
talk about efficiency in the OR plus, you now have more patients that can be treated at the same time. So that's the way we like to do. A lot of hospitals, we sit down with them. Once the physicians are happy, we sit down with the hospital administrators and walk through all the math with them to show them the economic, the actually it comes out ahead. The next part about a little bit about cost is about how about environmental impact. People are saying, hey, if it's disposable, wouldn't that create a lot of trash? That's a more environmental impact. Uh, it's also not true. The reason, how do they clean a device? They use high heat. That's a lot of energy, which costs a lot of money. So you can equate cost of cleaning to environmental impact. Energy generation is not free. The
Hmm.
next part is the toxic chemical that's used, which is good. You want them to clean all the germs, but afterwards, what do they do with the chemical? It's special process or it's buried somewhere. And that is also a high environmental impact. So when we're looking at this, is we want a net positive outcome
Hmm.
for once we work out the equation, right? Either from the financial part or from the environmental part. And that's where it's a bit counterintuitive. You're absolutely right. Disposable should be higher cost on both, but when you work out the whole system impact, it's end up being a better alternative.
Thanks for answering that. That was actually really, really well done. Curious, before we kind of go to our
Mhm.
close, what is, I just want to make sure before I
Sure.
forget, like give people a snapshot, like what is the best way for them to
Mhm.
follow your work and the work that Olay is doing? Like
Uh,
give us a commercial.
Sure. So Aulea Medical, we focus on improving the urology care, how it's delivered. While core three tenets are making it safer for the patient, simpler for the physician and the clinician, and very last one, more affordable for the whole community as a whole. We have product in multiple states right now, and we are introducing slowly conquering the rest of the US before we go to outside US markets. We have a website at auleamed.com, auleamed.com. If you search for Aulea Medical on YouTube, you'll see our YouTube channel is very new. It has a couple of animations, some clinical cases. You can check it out. We have LinkedIn. You can find us there. And very excitingly, we are at AUA in May 15 to 17. So if you are there and are interested in urology, all the innovation we do, please come and visit our booth. And that's the best way to find us and reach us.
Awesome. We'll make sure we put all those in the description, Phil. And just last question. Um, and I ask this because I genuinely want to know. If you could go back and
Mm-hmm.
sit across from the, you know,
Right,
32-year-old George, the
right,
R&D engineer,
right.
who had no idea would end up here,
Mm-hmm.
what do you tell him?
What do I tell him? I'm a strong believer of this one idea. The concept is I am who I am today because everything I experienced. So I would probably tell myself, everything will work out just fine. Just keep on doing what you do. Um, without the success, without the detours, without the learning experience, without all this heartaches, without everything that's happened before then, I wouldn't have the skill set and temperament I have today. So if I go back 10 years from now, go back 10 years and talk to that person, I was like, just keep on doing what you do, but understand this, everything will just work out just fine as long as you keep on doing what you do.
Yeah, George, I gotta say this. I mean, I've really enjoyed this conversation. Enjoyed getting to know you off camera too, the values and the principles that you carry and what, everything that you sort of embody. You came on the show as a founder. But I think what I really heard today was something different. I'm
Mhm.
hearing a builder that's going about his work diligently, consistently, and steadfast. You're watching a system that in many instances is very fragmented, it's very fractured, and you're like, look, there's a better way to do
Mhm.
something. And you had enough guts to go out and say, yeah, I'm going to do something about it. Like, that's like really rare. It's not easy to do that. So I just gotta tip my cap to you for doing that. And for those, if you're listening right now, if anyone's listening and you're on the cusp of wanting to do something, like use this conversation as a benchmark. Use it as a data point. Use George as a reference. And if you found this conversation to be useful and practical, the one thing that you can do that would be really, really helpful, if you don't mind, share it. Make sure you like it. Make sure you comment on it. Subscribe. These things absolutely help the community of innovators that we have in it. So um, thanks again, George, for coming on. And for those again, if you do have a topic that you want us to explore, or even a leader that you want to have come onto the show, drop a note, leave a comment, and just remember this platform. It is about community. It is about that living, breathing ecosystem. You give and you take. So thank you for listening. Keep building with purpose, and we'll see you next time on the Advancing Healthcare Innovation Show.